What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Ridley Scott's new historical epic, Napoleon. Napoleon stars Joaquin Phoenix as the titular character and is a biopic about the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. A personal look at the French military leader's origins and swift, ruthless climb to emperor viewed through the prism of Napoleon's addictive, volatile relationship with his wife and one true love, Josephine. I'm a big Ridley Scott fan. I think he does a really good job with all these historical biopics, Exodus, Gods and Kings excluded. These historical epics, these historical dramas. He's got a knack for them. He's also got a huge knack for director's cuts. Kingdom of Heaven was okay for a theatrical cut, and then he added 45 to 50 minutes more footage in there, and it enhanced the entire movie. It took it from a 6 out of 10 to an 11 out of 10. It boosted it significantly. That's really kind of how I look at Napoleon. I think it's okay. I think it's fine as it stands. I know that Ridley Scott has said that there is probably going to be a 4-hour director's cut released out there somewhere. I'd be all down for that because I think it would help this really weak script and fill in a lot of gaps that were maybe cuts to get down to a theatrical distribution runtime and fill in the blanks of some pacing issues and some editing issues and tonal issues as well. I will talk about them. I think other than those, though, Napoleon could have been great. Joaquin's good in the role, although there has been criticism that he doesn't do a French accent. Probably tried it, probably didn't work. So, I mean, I can't really blame him. I do think, though, Vanessa Kirby outshines him in this movie. She is phenomenal as Josephine in this movie. What I like seeing about Napoleon Bonaparte in this is what I was expecting to see. I liked seeing his rise to power, even if it is really a messy, rocky road to get there because of the script and some pacing issues. I also really liked getting insight into his battle plans and his battle formations, his battle tactics. Yes, you can look at him as a conqueror who conquered major parts of the world and somehow didn't die in any of these battles that he fought because he was always more the behind the scenes guy. He was always the one that stayed behind enemy lines, sent other troops down to die first. They even have stats at the end of this movie that tell you how many people died in all these battles as a result of his battle tactics, and whether that's from both sides, from the French side, I would assume it's from both sides. But yeah, he essentially tried to conquer the world, and you can look at it two ways. And I think the movie does a really good job at portraying both of these ways to give you a clear glimpse as to what his thought process was with all these battle tactics and these battle formations. You could look at him as a really smart man because the movie states that other armies would try and outmaneuver him by using his battle tactics, but they never perfected it. So in a way, he was a very smart man at that. But you can also look at him as a fool and an imbecile and an idiot and just a pathetic human being because that's really what he was too. He was both of those things. And I like that the movie had that area in between where it could show you how smart he was, but just how pathetic he really was. And I think Joaquin Phoenix just has this subtle stoic calmness to him where it's just this calmness of confidence that he portrays in Bonaparte that really expresses the type of power that Napoleon thinks he has. And according to what we know about him, what historians know about him, I feel like it's a hard biopic to do because there's so many different accounts about Napoleon and whether or not he was actually smart or what actually, if he's actually looked at as a historical villain, you could say. But it's just the cold, calculated meticulousness of Phoenix's performance that really convey the power behind the eyes of Napoleon and how much power he thought he had, how much leeway he could give himself, and how persuasive he could be with just by his look. His facial expression says it all. And he is so good at portraying that and getting Napoleon's thought process out without saying any words. And that's what I feel like a good character should do. That's good writing for a character. A character should never state all of his or her inner emotions or what they're feeling or what they're trying to do. That's just not good character development. You should subtly play behind that. That's what this movie does with Napoleon. Of course, it's a Ridley Scott historical epic, and there's battle scenes. So we got to talk about the battle scenes. I thought that they were fantastic. I thought that they were brutal, bloody, visceral, and a classic Ridley Scott staple that is always in these historical epics with battles. He just somehow manages to get in there. He gets the camera into the heat of the battle. He's like, it's like you're front and center. He doesn't have stage fright when he's trying to do all that. He just gets in there, gets the shots he needs, gets out, goes into big wides, gets back in there when he needs to, gets some close ups, pulls out again, then we'll cut to another shot on like a hill or something. It's classic Ridley Scott. And that's why this movie is so well directed and, quite frankly, gives this theatrical cut a little bit of more credibility than it might deserve. It's what gives theatrical cut of Kingdom of Heaven a little bit more credibility than it deserves. He knows how to do these things. He's a pro at making these types of movies. There's literally shots in this movie where I was like, did that horse just get hit by a cannonball? That was pretty fucking brutal. He makes the most of all the battle scenes. The battle scenes are enthralling, they're visceral, they're bloody, they're gory, over the top, but they're serious as well. I also liked the musical score in this. Good chunks of this musical score feel like classical era music, just piano stuff you would hear in the 1700s, 1800s at one point. There is one moment where I'm just like, are we playing like a modern day song here? This doesn't fit in. I don't like when historical biopics do that. Like, I think A Knight's Tale does that. And I'm just like, it doesn't fit for me. I guess it fits for A Knight's Tale for what that movie's going for. And I think they did it once here towards like the half hour, 40-minute mark, and it was really jarring. But other than that, I like the classical pieces of music. Obviously, the costume design is so good, capturing those French military costumes and the wardrobes of the times. It's top-notch production here. I stated that this movie falters with its script. And for all I know, there could be a lot more in this script that they really had to cut. It's either the script is weak or they just cut out a lot of scenes so that the movie can play in theatrical distribution, so they had to cut a lot of scenes out. But there are a lot of scenes in this movie that feel like that they are supposed to be extended scenes, and then it cuts to another scene immediately. So it feels like you don't get the end of that scene, or it just feels like the editing is very jarring. Lots of stuff like that. I also had trouble grasping the relationship between Napoleon and Josephine. I thought it was really rushed for the first hour we were focusing on it. And if, just so you know, in case you're going into this movie expecting a whole bunch of battles, they are here, but it's more about the focus on Napoleon and Josephine's love for each other and just how dumb, but yeah, how much they love each other too. It's really weird. The whole back and forth. I thought that those were actually the most boring parts of this movie. I didn't care one bit. I thought Ridley Scott did all the drama stuff in The Last Duel a lot better than he did a lot of the drama stuff here, unless if it was Napoleon planning out his attack and what he was going to do in battle. All of that stuff was great. It was just the stuff with Napoleon and Josephine I thought were really boring, and I just didn't buy into their relationship because I didn't think that it was developed enough. Almost like their second scene in the movie, I was just like, wow, that was quick. I guess that's just how things happened back then. I didn't feel like there was enough there for me to care about this relationship because both characters have affairs. I feel like this is forced, but I get that this is also real life. I just don't know if there's enough time. All of that felt rushed to me, and it felt like they were trying to really put a movie out there that did have a bit of a time crunch to it. So that is a major aspect of the movie. And unfortunately, I think it bogs a lot of this movie down in terms of how it's written, how it's portrayed on screen, some of the edits with those scenes where it feels like scenes should be longer than they are, or they just end and they cut abruptly. There's also some tonal issues here. It's a funny movie, but it'll be like, I don't know. It didn't, I've seen people say it worked. It didn't work for me. Sure, it's subtle humor. I love the scenes where he just gets mad. Napoleon just gets mad and he flips out. But then there's other scenes. One scene, couple of scenes where people are trying to crack jokes, and I'm like, That's a massive shift in tone, and I don't know why that was placed there. So there are moments like that, and I think that the weird editing and a lot of the writing and how the character drama is portrayed in this movie bog it down. But I do think that this movie could have the Kingdom of Heaven effect. It could benefit a lot from that 4-hour director's cut that Ridley Scott is talking about. I really do want to see it to see if it does improve a lot of those scenes. I think a lot of those scenes for me too is it's just characters sitting around talking. There's not really much happening in those scenes that make those scenes more interesting when they are talking. I guess that's also where my mindset is on those scenes. But the battle scenes are great, set design, costume design is great. It's Ridley Scott. He at least knows how to assemble a movie and try and get the most out of it. And when he has to chop it down, like he probably did with this movie, and like he had to do with Kingdom of Heaven, unfortunately, he tries to do the best he can for the theatrical distribution. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I do think this will have the Kingdom of Heaven effect where a director's cut will vastly improve it. Not saying it'll be as good as Kingdom of Heaven, but I think it could significantly boost my rating up for this movie if I see a director's cut. And when it comes out, maybe I will review that director's cut. At this point in time, though, until that director's cut comes out, I enjoyed Napoleon with just over half a bucket of popcorn. I guess most of those drama scenes in this movie just left me feeling sleepy and made the movie feel a lot longer because of those things that I didn't really necessarily like with this movie. So, an announcement. I am in the middle of moving. I am also not going to be able to get to many theaters around me. I'm going to be further out from theaters. Do my best to get as many reviews out for you. Next week might be iffy because I know that new John Woo Silent Night movie's coming out. Want to see it? I'll do the best I can. That's really all I can say for now with the reviews. I'll have a bigger announcement video coming very soon because I'm just throwing this in right now. But I am moving again. This time on my own terms, my own volition, and that's good. Content may be sparse for a little bit. Just bear with me. I'll do the best I can. If you have seen Napoleon, let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.